Roger doesn't want you up here. He wants to give a little speech. First he tells you to give you an award, now he tells me not to give it to you, so I don't know.
Introduction kind of was against my type of thing. So this is what I got from Terry.
A fortune cookie.
And then I said, well, you know, Terry, I'm going to have to go in your background and find some stuff. And so he got this much. Well, it's some great stuff here, Terry. But I think I won out. Terry has always loved his family, fast vehicles, and slow-moving sports. Now those slow-moving sports, you might not know what they are, but he really loves golf, and he loves bowling. But if he golfs anything like I do, which he does, you know, you get up on the tee and you wait for three other guys to tee off, and then you hit one in the woods. And then you're in the woods, you got this little angle, you can make it out, you know, you think, or you hit back into the fairway. So you hit back in the fairway, it goes over the fairway into the pond. From the pond, you have to figure out where the ball went in the pond, you know, these rules. And so then you hit it up to the fairway, and then onto the green. Nope, you're not on the green, you're in the sand trap. After hacking at it for about 3 or 4 hacks, finally Danny Taylor comes over and he picks up the ball and sets it on the green for me. And he says, now, go ahead and putt. Well, it's a downhill putt, I putt off the green. Then I gotta walk all the way back to my golf cart and pick up a club to chip back on. 4 or 5 putts later, Danny says, I got like a 6 or 7 footer. He says, that's good. And then I move on to the next. So you mutter a little bit on the way back, right, Dougie? And as you mutter, you get to the end of the approach, and you're waiting for the ball to return so you can make the next shot. After standing there for a couple of minutes, I call the desk and say, hey, I need a ball on 22. They send the ball to me finally, and it's got marks on it. So I have to go find the president to have him allow me to clean off my ball. Another great USBC rule. In the meantime, I finally get it cleaned off. I go back, and I really don't care if I make the spare or not. I push the reset, sit down, and wait for my next turn. Well, Terry, let's go to a different topic. Loves vehicles. After all, he worked at GM, and he was a, I don't know, computer guy or something. And you know how GM guys are? You have to buy GM, or you have to buy American. Yeah, Terry.
Watch what you say now.
Terry owns a Honda. And he drives it around. Well, it's a Honda motorcycle, but he's still a Honda. It's not American made.
Yes, it is.
Not American made in my mind. You know, Terry loves to drive at night. He's more comfortable driving at night. He really loves it. He feels more comfortable driving at night. So one early morning, I'm headed out to the golf course to play golf. I get there really early. I mean, real early. The range, there's Terry sitting there on the bench. And I said, hey Terry, how you doing? He says, he kind of grunts. I said, Terry, you all right? He says, yeah, I've been getting some balls out on the range and I'm kind of tired and getting ready to go out and play the course. So I look out at the range and I see these balls that are out there, And they're not very far out there, but they're spread out pretty good, like, you know, we would normally hit. And I asked Terry,
Pretty good.
I asked Terry what club he's using. And he shows me this. And here I am thinking, Terry. I look back at the range, and then I look back at Terry, and then I say, Terry, we need to check out your equipment. So I was trying to think of something for Terry to get him for, because he was in the Hall of Fame. It was important. There was something I wanted to get for him. And I was racking my mind, and I thought about getting in these things from the USBC, you know, that they gave out these little keychains, and put them on a little plaque. But you know, he gave all these back to me, so there you go, Terry, those are yours. So I went out, and I spared no expense. I mean, I really, truly spared no expense. And I got Terry this new club. Now notice it has this nice square design to it. So, you know, you're liable to hit it maybe a little bit better, I don't know. And I got pink so Terry could tell that that was the club he wanted to take out of his bag. Well, it had another little thing with it, and this was called night vision. It turns on, so when you hit it, you'll see where it went. You know, I really got it for Terry, so when he heads out and needs a little bit more comfort, and wants a little more, be a little more comfortable, when he drives at night. Did you know that he is the only president of the LUSBC who has served 2 consecutive terms? Did you know that he set up the work schedules for the women's state tournament, which was a big success for Lansing? Did you know that he updated the LUSBC website to make it more user-friendly for the bowler in the know? Do you know that he works the check-in table at the city tournament, makes changes, adds, and so on? Did you know that he works the lane certification team? You know, being a president, a lot of times they're a little uppity, you know. Not Terry. He jumps right in the pin deck. He jumps right down there, does all the measurements and everything, shouts them out, and comes out with a smile. That he constructed the Hall of Fame video that you saw when you came in today, and updates it each and every year. Did you know that he works the senior mini match tournaments? He's the computer man. He's the one that makes the cut line. Some of you people that, some of you guys that are, you know, you're not bowling very good, you need to bring Terry a cookie or 2 or something, because he has the cut line right there. And he can make you qualify. Anyway, I got to thinking a little bit. That's a bad thing. Somewhere in his past, Terry learned to lead. And I couldn't figure out what it was, so I asked him, you know, and his response is, yeah, why? Vicky, you ever heard that one? Yeah, why? So, what I did was I looked back into his past. And this will shock you. It is jaw-dropping. Terry was the head honcho, the grand poobah, the ¡1 man, the leader of a motorcycle gang. Yeah. He's the head of a motorcycle gang. This gang was notorious in the towns of Dimondale, Holt, Mason, Charlotte, Eaton Rapids, St. John's, and Owasso. They would terrorize parade routes. This gang would jump on their mopeds and race up and down the parade route, doing circles and diagonals and squares and triangles, and even attempting a teeny-weeny wheelie. They had two major goals in mind when they went on these parade routes. Number one was, do not run into each other. And the second was, do not run into any parade watchers. This group was fairly successful under Terry's leadership. It was about 150 rules and regulations in which the teammates would pay dues on. The dues are variable dues. You don't always pay the same due every time. So every week, depending on how many rules you broke, would determine how much you had to pay. Well, this thing was handwritten and laid in the back of Ron Ante's truck for 4 or 5 years. I mean, there was snow on it. It was hard to read. But Terry, he just went right through it. Now, these dues are determined each and every year. In other words, when we come up with something we think we want to add to the book, we do. So one such rule was the beer frame. And this beer frame, back in the old days, the dark ages in bowling, last century, it was a 5-member team, and 4 of the members had to get a strike. And when the anchor man would come off of the lane, and he would announce to his team, and I got to read this because you can't make this stuff up. Whosoever did we get back there at the table or in the seat in that there beer frame? Now, I know it had to be changed because the seniors can't remember that long. That's a long bit. So, the perpetrator then would have to raise his arm. And his arm would have to stay up until a waitress came to place the order. Well, Terry immediately saw this and he says, oh, this has got to change. First of all, a senior can't hold his arm up that long when there's only one waitress per 40 lanes. And the second was, if we had too many of those beer frames, the bowlers on our team would be sleeping by the 3rd game. So it has some changes that need to be made. There are only 4 bowlers in the senior leagues, so only 3 need to strike to have this frame. However, you could have a person or 2 that pick up a split conversion, and that counts as a strike. That was called the Maurer rule. And the Maurer rule was one of the bowlers, Julius Maurer, who used to be a forefather of our teams. So, here's what it would sound like in the modern context after Terry changed it. We named it something different. It's called a stick or a git. G-I-T, a git. Okay? So the anchor bowler comes off the lane and he says, "Who do we get back there?" And in unison, the teammates say, "Terry!" So Terry goes and marks the name, his little demerit mark down there, because he's going to have to pay on that due because he broke a rule of striking. So one of 2 things happens. Mikey Hicks usually comes down, gives Terry a hug. Well, he wants to console him. And we really don't want Terry to quit the team. Or Bruce will come over and he'll say, you know, you don't have to take that stuff from that, Terry. You can always come and bowl with us. So a little later, the anchor bowler comes off the lane again. He says, who we get back there? And the team in unison says, Terry. Again. Well, then we want to thank Terry, my buddy and my mentor, Terry Hammond.
Next we have Ann Block from the State Association presenting
State for your induction into the Greater Lansing Bowling Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And a small token of our appreciation to you from the state.
It's a new ball.
Yeah.
Next, here is your plaque. And here's a bag of goodies. And the thing you've been waiting for.
Key to the circle.
You're a Hall of Famer.
All right.
Hey,
Congratulations.
91 series in 2011. That was the 4th highest series for a 4-man team in the nation that year. And also another city record. By the way, my brother Dave is also a city title holder. He won the handicap all events title in 1966. Congratulations. I was the secretary treasurer of 2 different leagues for a total of 14 years. The first one was before computers, so every night when I came home from bowling, I had to sit down and figure out all the averages and everything by hand and type the sheets up for the next week. Second time around, we had computers going, and the lanes did the sheets for me, so it made my job a whole lot easier. I put my name in for election for the board of directors in 2008 because I wanted to be in a position to help make things better for the Lansing bowlers. I moved up to second vice president and then to president. Being president has its challenges, but it also has its rewards. I get to work with a terrific group of people on the board. When Faye Watson left the board in 2012, I was asked to take over the website. I think that was mainly because I knew a little bit about computers and nobody else wanted the job. I can go here tonight, and I gather all the necessary documentation from many of the board members to produce the annual average book. I enjoy being part of the board, and I plan to continue to do so as long as I'm needed and I'm useful. Thank you again for this honor.